Pagan devotion to Hekate. So tomorrow is Hekate Night, so it's a modern day festival for neo-pagans. Paganism is an old religion, but there's modern day people like myself who do follow that tradition. Goddess Hekate, she's an ancient deity. So her origins come from ancient Turkey, although she was worshipped throughout ancient Greece, and from ancient times till now, she's gone widespread all across the world. Important thing to remember when we're talking about ancient goddesses, like these ancient goddesses have been here for a very long time, and it's nothing dark or evil, it's just earth worship. So that's all I have to say about that. A few books here about the goddess Hecate. So this book has an image in here of this goddess. So a little bit like the ancient Egyptians, I think a lot of the ancient deities, they tended to have animalistic appearances. So they had heads of animals. So in that image that you could see, the Hecate, I believe she has the heads of a dog, a pig, and a horse, something along those lines. And she's often shown with heads of multiple different animals. Like there's another image of her here where she has a snake head, a horse's head, and a wolf head again. So this is showing that the goddess's connection to these sacred creatures who, like wolves. Wolves are very canine. Canines and dogs. They're very sacred to this goddess Hecate. And horses as well, they're sacred to it. Hence why these animals are shown as representations for the goddess. Okay. So Hecate Night is tomorrow. So I'm going to be talking all about Hecate, the goddess Hecate, and I will be giving you my experience with working with this goddess, things that I picked up from other people, so I can explain what other people's perceptions are of this goddess and my own perceptions and where the overlap is. Because the beautiful thing about this goddess is that she's a very complex goddess. She has so many different aspects and titles. We call these epithets. So she's got infinite different epithets. I think like when us modern day Hecate worshippers, when we try to count them, like the ones that we've came across, that obviously not all of them are going to be known because we're in modern days now, so lots of that knowledge will have been lost. However, from the ones that we still know about and still have recorded down, we have must be at least 100 different titles, and these are all different aspects or characters of this goddess. So she has these different personalities, if you will, and such as Hecate the Savior, Hecate, goddess of the oceans and the seas, Hecate, goddess of the underworld, Hecate, goddess of the phantoms and ghosts, Hecate, goddess and queen of witches. All of these are different aspects of the goddess because she's a very complex deity, and that's the thing that I like most about her, that she is complex and mysterious, but also because she's so damn powerful, because she has dominion in all of these different places. So she has dominions in the seas. So in ancient Greece, that was classed as Poseidon's dominion. She is also has dominion in the heavens. That was Zeus's dominion. She has dominion in the underworld. That was Hades' dominion to the ancient Greeks. But they didn't dare to try to take this power and this claim to those realms away. They didn't dare take it away from the Titan goddess, even though that the Titans were there first, and then the Olympians, they came in afterwards and they kind of dismembered them. They ruined the Olympians, so they defeated them, and the majority of them, like if you look at Atlas, Atlas was one of the Titans. He's the Titan who holds up the globe. So when you see the depiction of a person or a humanoid figure but holding the whole earth as a burden, that is the Titan Atlas. And these gigantic and very ancient deities, they were here before the Olympian deities came along. And the Olympians, they're like, if you've seen a lot of the pop culture and the movies that we have about the Greek deities like Zeus, most people have heard about Zeus and these antics because he was frigging crazy, literally sleeping all about the place, and his wife was going terribly like jealous because of these antics. But the goddess Hecate, the most important thing is that despite these kings of the underworld, heaven and seas, despite them coming along and taking claim, this ancient goddess, this ancient Titan Hecate, she still held her power and influence over these areas, even though they came along. So it's kind of like, if you see, like, it happens quite a lot throughout all of the world. There was the feminine goddess of some kind, and then a male god as came and replaced them. But the goddess Hecate, so because she has such amazing powers and such amazing influence in all of these different places, like the modern day followers like myself, we believe that those patriarchal deities like Zeus, they didn't dare try to take anything away from her, because they respected her and they knew that she was a powerful deity, and they knew that she was going to be a useful deity as well. The goddess Hecate, she does show up in some of the Persephone and Demeter and Hades abducting Persephone myth. Hecate is credited as one of the deities who sees what happens, and that comes back to Hecate's name. So Hecate's name is literally she who sees afar. So she's known for her far sight, so she can see things far across the dimensions. So she has like this magical sight and prophecy. She has this mystical and divine sight, and this is one of her key gifts, and it's literally in her name, she who sees from afar. Okay, so that is Hecate. Okay, so let's have a quick look. So I'll just read a little bit what it says in this book. So this book is a history of witchcraft, sorcerers, heretics, and pagans. So it says, so it was showing this image, the image that I was showing. So it shows Hecate with the head of a dog and a pig or a boar and a cow. That was the other animal that I missed. So shows these three faces of Hecate, and it represents the power over the underworld, earth, and the air. She was also associated with the night and with malevolent magic. The three faces of Hecate are one source for Dante's idea that Satan has three faces in hell. So no surprise there, like yet again, like a pagan figure is being taken and demonized and used for some infernal ideas and hellish ideas. Okay, so this is what it says. So it says that the goddess Hecate, so this book is saying that the goddess Hecate was a feral protectress of animals as well as a huntress, and her function of ensuring that game connected her with fertility in general. Her power over the moon associated her with the monthly cycles of the human females and the horns of the crescent moon. So what this book is referring to is that the goddess Hecate, even though the goddess Hecate and the goddess Diana and the goddess Selene, they're all separate deities, but they did become equated with each other, even, just to confuse us all. So these three goddesses, they became, I think it was just an easier way. It's a bit similar to, if you think of how the people who practice voodoo, they have one icon of the saints, and then those beings, they become interchangeable and they become connected, so you can kind of worship both at the same time, or you worship one under the guise of the other. And this is kind of how the equation of these goddesses, they all become melded together, even though they are their own separate deity. So this happened with those goddesses, Hecate, Selene, and Diana. So Diana is a huntress goddess. And I believe the reason why they chose to meld these together, not just to have what some modern pagans like to call the maiden, mother, and crone. So it's not just about that. So they kind of key into the triple aspect. So triple deities have been a thing for a very long time. So triple deities. So we have even like Zeus, he was known as triple Janus, and there's, I believe there is Hermes Trismegistus as well. So that's triple aspected Hermes. So lots of the deities, they have triple aspects. So it's nothing new, to be fair. But I think it's with the goddess Hecate, it's very significant because the majority of the time she's always shown has triple aspected, whereas other deities sometimes are shown as triple aspected, but they're not always shown that way. So with Hecate, that is her one of her main things, that the majority of the time she's shown as a triple deity. And that comes with one of her epithets, Hecate Trivia or Trimorphos. These are referring to her triple aspects. Okay. So it says, since the underworld both pushes up the new crops to the light and swallows them up when they die and rot, fertility deities are also associated with death. Diana was identified with the three-faced Hecate, Dreadpale, goddess of death, patroness of evil sorcery, and mother of Lamias, apparently. So again, this is kind of, this was the kind of medieval portrayal of the goddess. She became synonymous with like old hags and evil magic and necromancy and demons and this, that, and the other. But when we look at this goddess now, we see that there is so much more to this goddess because she has a million other different faces, whereas in medieval times it was literally just looking at one of them. Okay, so it's not to say that Hecate cannot and is not able to have an aspect which is infernal and which is a necromantic and goddess of witches and demons and phantoms. She's often called Queen of Phantoms and Queen of the Witches. So she does have those aspects, but the important thing to remember with this goddess is that there's so much more depth to her. So she's not just this one basic thing, because she has so much more depth. Okay, so that is a little bit of the history of Hecate, and I've also grabbed a DVD here. So if you've seen some of my other videos on Hecate, I bang on about this movie a lot, Jason and the Argonauts. So Jason and the Argonauts is about Jason and Medea. So this comes from, again, Greek mythology and Greek myths. So Jason is a hero. He travels to Colchis to steal the Golden Fleece, as I believe one of the kingdoms or one of the kings demands that he brings the Golden Fleece, and he then has to find a way to get the Golden Fleece, and it's been protected by Medea and the king of Colchis, who is Medea's father. But Medea, she decides to betray her whole country and her father and family, and she helps Jason steal the Golden Fleece. And this is what this movie is about. But it's very entertaining. And you see one of my favorite scenes, one of the best scenes in the movie, is when Medea is doing a dance, and the dance is like a devotional dance to the goddess Hecate, and the king, her father, is watching, and Jason, he's just arrived and he sees her dancing in a very seductive and alluring way. Okay, so that is Jason and the Argonauts, a very good movie. So I've also got the complete encyclopedia of Greek mythology here. So I was going to have a quick read of what it said about Hecate in here. Here's what I saved, the page. So this, it also has another depiction of Hecate in here. It's quite a nice depiction, actually. It shows Hecate holding two torches. Okay, so let's see what. So it says the gruesome goddess Hecate liked to appear at night at a crossroads and was accompanied by sinister howling dogs. She was the protectress of witches and wizards. Okay, so this is what it says about her. So obviously it also mentions about Shakespeare and Macbeth. So it says Hecate was an earth and fertility goddess. She was also, however, a moon goddess. So this is what I feel like there is a misconception here, because technically Hecate isn't a moon goddess. However, but because she became equated with Selene, who was goddess of the moon, and Diana also has some connections with the moon, because they're part of that trinity, that triad. There is that connection there with the moon. But however, Hekate is like goddess of the night. So I believe the moon and the stars, they're things that come out at night, and that is where the connection, I believe, comes from, because the moon and the stars, they shine at night. But however, Hecate she is both the night and she is the light, which comes from the torches that she carries, but she's not necessarily connected with the moon. She wasn't necessarily connected with the moon in ancient times, even though the crescent moon and star was her symbol. But again, the moon and stars, these are symbols which represent nighttime, because the moon and the stars, they come out at night. So that is one of the misconceptions about the goddess Hecate, because she was part of that triple trinity, that which, and those goddesses became equated with each other, and they became melded together as one, but they are their own deities, really. So technically, Hecate isn't a moon goddess, even though she does have a connection with it, but she isn't goddess of the moon. Okay, so let's read what else it says. So it says, Hecate's origins in Greek mythology are unclear. Really? According to most accepted versions, she was daughter of the Titans Coeus and Phoebe. Oh, this is news to me. I've not heard this version before. According to some sources, Zeus was her father. Others claim it was Perseus. So yes. So that is the origins that I'm aware of. Hecate is daughter of Astaria, who is the Titan goddess of the stars, and Perseus, who is another Titan. It's interesting. But yeah, this often happens a lot with like these very old and ancient deities, especially when they predate the deities who then become the major deities. The older ones, like you see it in like ancient Egyptian pantheon, like deities like Sekhmet and Anubis. They're actually much older than a lot of the other deities, but they then end up somehow becoming like children of the newer deities. It's a strange thing. I believe it's like when they create these systems of deities, they find ways of fitting in the other deities, and that's just how they end up doing it, by making the newer deities the parent of the older deity. But because the deity is new to them, then it kind of works for them. But yeah, that's just pantheons, ancient pantheons for you. Let's see if there's any other good stuff in here. So it says, Demeter and Astaria were also cited as her mother. Hecate might have been a cousin of Artemis and Apollo, the children of Astaria's sister Leto, and she is sometimes even equated with Artemis. So yeah, we was just talking about that. So Artemis is another name for Diana. So Artemis is what the Romans, I believe, called Diana. Furthermore, she was displayed a clear resemblance to Demeter and to Demeter's daughter Persephone. So it mentions here about Medea. So we were just talking about her, Medea, in the Medea and Jason. So it says, Medea, the renowned sorceress, frequently invoked her, meaning Hecate, and Shakespeare made her the chief witch in his play Macbeth. Those who wished to meet Hecate or wanted to perform some magic rite for her, which her blessing was necessary, needed to go to a crossroads. So yeah, they had a thing which was called dumb suppers. So you would bring food. So you'd bring plates of food to the crossroads or to the cemetery, and you would then leave it there, and that would then nourish the spirits there. And it would also honor the goddess Hekate. Okay, so that's from that book. I also wanted to quickly show you this book. So I've recently got this book from the library. So this book is called Medea. So it's very good. It reminds me a bit of the Circe, Circe book from Madeline Miller. So Madeline Miller, she also did the Song of Achilles. So that's the love story of Achilles. But when I've recently started reading this book on Medea, interesting. I found it about a week ago, and it's kind of perfect timing to be reading it because Medea, she's a devotee of Hekate. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting read, I'm sure. But from when I started reading it, it was giving me the feels of the other book, Circe. And it's interesting because right at the beginning of the book, Circe is Medea's auntie, and she comes and visits Medea. So that was pretty cool. So it was literally like the two books are crossing over. So it was really cool, even though they're by completely different authors, but they was reading the same. So that's what I liked about it. So this book is by Rosie Hewlett. It says it's Sunday Times bestseller. So some of the other books here that I have about Hekate are, I've got Nocturnal Witchcraft by Konstantinos. There is The Temple of Hekate by Tara Sanchez. There is The Dark Archetype, Exploring the Shadow Side of the Divine. And that's by Denise Dumas and Laurie Nix. And I also have here Hekate Sotera by Sarah Ills Johnston. So it's American Classical Studies. So I've not actually read this one yet. It was a gift, I believe, was it from last year? But I'm going to have to dive into that one soon. So I'm just going to have a quick look because I did write some information down that I wanted to mention. So I wanted us to think about how the goddess Hekate relates to us, because that Hecate's aspects are the different aspects of Hekate is how she relates to different things. So how she relates to humans, her devotees, how she relates to the elements, whether it's sea, earth, sea, sky. So this is how her different forms take place and manifest through these different interactions and connections with different things. So Hekate is also the important thing to remember about her. She's also a goddess of the liminal places. So the liminal is the in-between. And this is another thing that makes her very interesting, because if you want to know what the in-between, what I mean by the in-between, so it's like in between the worlds, and a simple way that we can place ourselves into the liminal is literally when we cast a circle, we're literally creating space in between the worlds, in between the dimensions, and this is a liminal place. So goddess Hekate, she is a ruler of these liminal places, the spaces, and the liminal energies. Okay, so we'll have a quick look. What else I wrote down here? So I mentioned earlier that she was connected with the different elements. So she's goddess of the earth, goddess of the sea, goddess of the heavens. And we've mentioned about her lineage and origins. So next, I also wanted to mention briefly about Hecate's connection with Cerberus, the three-headed dog. So Cerberus, the three-headed dog, he stands and guards the gate to the underworld. Hercules, when he was doing his trials, he had to literally wrestle this gigantic three-headed dog at the gates of the underworld. So some people say that this three-headed dog is just one of Hecate's many aspects. So they say that Hecate literally is Cerberus. So that's what some people are saying, or what some people take the mythology to mean, to represent. But however, my personal belief is that I wouldn't say that Hecate is Cerberus, but I'd say that Cerberus is belonging to Hecate, because literally three heads is a thing which is connected with Hecate. So I believe the dog, even though people claim it's Hades' dog and Persephone's dog, I'd say that it's got three heads. Come on, it's Hecate's. But well, maybe in a perfect world, maybe they kind of, it's a communal dog. So Hades, it belongs to Hades, Persephone, and to Hecate all at the same time. Maybe. But that's Cerberus, the three-headed dog. Hecate is also connected with dragons as well. So I'm sure I've heard people say that Hecate's chariot, it may be pulled by dragons. So that's what some people believe. So also offerings. So when you're doing a ritual, or literally Hekate Night, it's a modern feast day. So on a modern feast day, like, or also the 31st, so the last day of every month, is also a day which is sacred to the goddess Hecate. So there's different feast days throughout the years. Throughout the year rather. There's different feast days. So we have Hekate Night, so 16th of November so from sunset to sunset on the next day. So that would be from sunset on the 16th of November to sunset on the 17th of November. That is the modern feast day, Hekate Night. Also on 13th of August, we have the Day of the Queen of Heaven as well. And that is one of Hecate's titles, Queen of Heaven and Queen of Hell. She has it all, pretty much. So offerings that you could give to the goddess. Offerings that I like to give offerings of honey. Sometimes I like to give cake. A lot of the times the offering that I give her the most is pomegranates. Both because I like them and I know the goddess Hecate, she likes them as well. And as there is the whole connection with the underworld and the whole myth with Persephone and Hades. But also pomegranates, they do taste so damn good. So that's why I like to give them as an offering. So also honey. So you could place honey on a plate or a dish, and that would be a nice offering for the goddess. So you could give offerings of incense, you can give offerings of wine. So all of these things are different things which you can offer the goddess. So also you could give offerings of crystals, statues. So on my altar I have statues of the goddess Hekate. No brainer there. So you can recite prayers as an offering. You can do a dance, much like Medea does in the movie. You can dance for the goddess. You can sing for the goddess. You can chant for the goddess. There's all of these things. So it doesn't actually have to be a physical offering. So it's just offerings that are all about an energy exchange. So it's you're receiving a blessing from a goddess, you're receiving attention from the goddess. So in exchange, you're giving some form of energy. So it doesn't have to be a physical thing. You can sing, you can chant, you can dance. Okay. Or of course you can give a physical item if you want. If you want to give cake, you want to give chocolate, something that the goddess will like, you can give that as well. So it's all up to you. So just use your own intuition and go with what you have, really. You don't have to find something very exotic like saffron. That would be a good offering for the goddess Hecate, but saffron is very expensive and not so easy to source. Okay. So this is why just use your own intuition and just go with the flow, really, when it comes to offerings. Okay. So next I want you to read some of the charge of the Dark Goddess. The Dark Goddess speaks to us through the mouths of Lilith, Kali, Tiamat, Hecate, Nyx, the Black Madonna, Nemesis, and Morgan. I am the darkness behind and beneath the shadows. I am the absence of air that awaits at the bottom of every breath. I am the ending before life begins again, the decay that fertilizes the living. I am the bottomless pit, the never-ending struggle to reclaim that which is denied. I am the key that unlocks every door. I am the glory of discovery, for I am that which is hidden, secluded, and forbidden. Come to me at the dark moon and see that which cannot be seen. Face the terror that is yours alone. Swim to me through the blackest oceans to the center of your greatest fears. The dark god and I will keep you safe. Scream to us in terror, and yours will be the power to forbear. Think of when you feel pleasure, and I will intensify it, until the time when I may have the greatest pleasure of meeting you at the crossroads between the worlds. And that is the charge of Dark Goddess. Okay. So there's also I want you to read the Hecate's Orphic Hymn as well. That's another important one. So this is some of the sacred texts which are connected with the goddess. So if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm forever speaking of the Ephesian letters. So that is Aske, Kataske, Eron, Orion, Ior, Mega, Samye, Boetha, Bantia, Semne. So this is a prayer which can be repeated over and over, and it invokes the goddess Hecate, especially after dark. Okay, so here I have something else. the Orphikim, or is it the Orphikim? I'm not sure I've labelled that correctly. Maybe the Orphikim, because it looked like it, but it didn't say that on it. Gosh, what am I like? But I'm going to read it anyway. So it says, epithet Skylicatis. Wow, my writing is bad there. Skylicatis, leader of dogs, aspect, come giant Hecate Dione's guard, O Persia, Barbo, Fury, dart shooter, unconquered, Lydian, the one untamed, sired nobly, torch-bearing guide, who bends down proud necks, Corey, hear you, who've parted gates of steel unbreakable, O Artemis, who too were once protectress, mighty one, mistress, who burst forth from the earth, dog leader, all tame, crossroad goddess, triple-headed, bringer of light, august virgin, I call you, fawn slayer, crafty, O infernal one, and many-formed, come Hecate, goddess of freeways, who with your fire-breathing phantoms have been allotted dreaded roads and harsh enchantments. Like that. And there's another prayer here to Hecate Phonia. All right, so that's not actually a prayer, it's just information I'd written down about it. So chant justice, not needing that right now. Hecate prayer of her aspects. This is one thing that I do like. So this is a prayer which has been created by using the different epithets of Hecate. So this is the different aspects. So the different parts of Hecate. So hail Hecate, Aeneas and Nessa, eternal queen. May I be ever grateful for the gift of time. Hail Hecate, Ionadia, guardian of the crossroads. May I ever be brave through all life's transitions. Hail Hecate Pandatera, from whom all things come. May I ever be in your favour. Hail Hecate Basileia, fair empress, may I ever be wise. Hail Hecate Dadaphorus, torch-bearer, may I ever be a light in this world. Hail Hecate Cleoducas, keeper of the keys, may I be ever willing to accept your keys. Hail Hecate Sotera, saviour, may I ever be compassionate. Hail Hecate Empelios, opener of the gate, may I be ever ready. Hail Hecate Nyssa, mistress of beginnings, may I be ever willing to embrace the new. Hail Hecate Propileos, may I never stray away from your guidance. Hail Hecate, bless me with your gifts, your guidance. Protect those I love and those who feel alone. Hail Hecate, hear my voice, know my gratitude. Is a spell sealing chant, which I'm just going to add at the end of that. So by the powers of Hecate, whose magic weaves through the web of the world, the magic is done. It finds its mark, our visions flourish, so it is woven, and so it is done. So might it be. Hecate's prayer. So this prayer was written by David Gonzalez. So he is one of the people who's in the Covenant of Hecate. So people, if anyone's interested in this goddess Hecate, there is an organization which has been created by the devotees of Hecate called Hecate's Covenant, or the Covenant of Hecate. and you are easily able to join that. So just click on the website, the Covenant of Hekate, and there's lots of information how you can join and how you can get involved. And there's lots of information about the goddess that you can research. So if you do check back at this video, I'll leave a link in the video so you can go over there. There'll be lots of information. I believe there's lots of prayers on there. There's lots of artwork, just lots of inspiring things around the goddess Hekate. So one of the things that you may see over there is prayers such as this one. So this is Hecate's Prayer by David Gonzalez. Okay. So it goes, Hecate of love, Hecate of light, Hecate of torch fire burning bright, Hecate of wisdom, Hecate of peace, Hecate of mending hand whose grants our pains release. Reconcile, conciliate, harmonize, make pure. Hecate Soterra, who makes all healing sure. Come now to enchant the charm, come to make us whole. Come now to restore the might to every broken soul. Hecate of earth, Hecate of life, Hecate of motherhood, she Gorgon knife. Hecate way showing Hecate ascend. Hecate of temple song, who makes our hearts content. Flowing magic through our space, bless us with a touch of grace. Hear our petition, hear our prayer. Queen of spells, gentle soothsayer, Hecate adorned in saffron-colored robe of midnight hair and golden sapphire globe, Hecate shining, starlight daughter, attendant to witches, magna mater. Hecate come on wings of flame, Hecate of lightning and untold name, Hecate redeemer, teacher fair, Hecate of solace, beauty rare, magnificent, unconquerable and just, of blazing aura, shining golden dust. Expand the mind to see as thee, enfold us in thy mystery. Unloose the bolts, clear every path, save us from our enemies' wrath. Change our hearts to hold thy fire, raise us out of murk and mire. We aspire, it's thy holy favor that we require. Hecate, hear our solemn vow, to worship always as we do now. And if it is thy goddess will, our wishes and hopes please fulfill. So mote it be, so mote it be. So that is Hecate's prayer. One of the other things that I wanted to mention was the different correspondences which you can use, which help connect you with this goddess. So correspondences, they're different things such as like herbs, essential oils, stuff like that. So one of the color correspondences that I connect with this goddess, so there's quite a couple actually. So you could use the red, black, and white. That would be an obvious color combination that you could use for the goddess Hecate. But one of the more subtle color choices which I use for the goddess is the color purple. So the color purple, you could also use silver as well, but the color purple for me, that it represents like all of the intuition, the mystery, the magic. So the color purple, yeah, it's just a very spiritual and intuitive color. So that would go with crystals as well. So black crystals, obviously, black tourmaline, purple crystals, amethysts. So all of these crystals, they will assist you into connecting with the correct energy. So there's herbs and essential oils, which I've written down, which you can use is patchouli, cypress, cyclamen, mandrake, belladonna, saffron, garlic, sandalwood, and mint. So they're the main herb choices or plant choices that you can use to connect with this goddess. There's going to be other ones. So if you don't just want to go from one of these off of the list, maybe do some meditation with the goddess, or maybe ask the goddess to inspire you in your dreams and see what comes through. So if the goddess is telling you she likes basil, then go with basil. So, but yeah, so these are herbs which I've used to connect with the goddess. So mostly patchouli and cypress, and saffron. I know I was just saying about how expensive saffron is, but I do like to add that to my magical oil. A little bit of saffron. A few quick words about Hecate and pop culture. So Hecate is mentioned in Shakespeare's Macbeth. So this is like when non-pagans hear the name Hecate, the first thing they think of is like Macbeth and this old crone, this hag who so there's three witches in Macbeth, and their ringleader is a witch or a hag named Hecate. So yeah, it's kind of disrespectful to modern pagans, but the important thing is, the interesting thing actually is that these witches who are being led by Hecate, they have this gift of foresight. So the thing that they do with Macbeth, they use their visions of the future and they twist things around. So they make Macbeth feel like he's invincible because they've told him visions of the future, and he then thinks that he's unstoppable because they literally, the witches say to him, when Birnam Wood comes to Dunsinane, that's the only time that Macbeth will fall, something along those lines. But obviously, how is a wood going to move? So how is a forest or a wood going to up its roots and move to a different place? So this is why Macbeth thought he was invincible. But the important thing that I'm trying to get to with this is, it's interesting that even Shakespeare knew about Hecate's gifts of prophecy and foresight. So even he was keen into that important aspect of Hecate, even if he got all of the other stuff wrong by feeding into the whole hag and crone misconception. And another time when Hecate has popped up, she's popped up recently in the past couple of years. We had Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That was a cool TV program on Netflix. So it was a twist on Sabrina, the teenage witch. So Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So it referenced Hecate, as mistress of witches and mistress of necromancy as well. When they stopped praising Lucifer in that TV program, because it was kind of a bit satanic at first, so Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, that was the whole twist, that they'd turned like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which was all fluffy and silly and comedy, and they made it into something darker and introduced Satanism to it and infernal witchcraft, which was interesting. So yeah, that was one of the modern references that we have to Hecate. So lastly, I just wanted to mention about what is some of the other things that I've heard people say about the goddess Hecate. So I'll read down what I've heard. So I've heard people say that Hecate is a tough cookie, more or less, and she does not suffer fools. So basically, what a lot of people are saying is that if people are wanting like a gentle goddess, if they're wanting someone to mother them and to baby them, then to choose a different goddess, because a lot of people believe that Hecate isn't like that. But so that's what other people are saying anyway. And other things that I've heard about Hecate is some people say that Hecate appears or her presence is felt in places where a person has died, or a person or an animal. So where a life has been lost, the goddess will appear. And she's the goddess of the crossroads, so that comes up. So I mentioned about the goddess of the moon misconception as well. So Hecate, she is a goddess of light and dark, and there's an important thing with the balance between light and dark as well. But Hecate is both light and she's both dark. She's the light, she's the darkness, and she is the light all at the same time. Okay. So lastly, I've written my experience with the goddess Hecate is things that she's been teaching me over the years is literally like when I was a baby witch, when I was practicing, like, I'm trying to think how many years it is now. It must be like going on nearly 18 years ago now. So when I was a baby witch, I was so excited. I was absorbing all of this knowledge, and I was wanting to cast spells every day and just make the most of magic, and using crystals for everything, using herbs for everything, using essential oils for everything, and just really going a bit crazy with it, just enjoying it because it's something that was new. But what I've learned from the goddess Hecate is that you can live a magical life without casting spells all of the time, every day. Like, magic shouldn't really be used in that way, because magic is a precious thing, and you should savor it, really. It should be, the important thing to remember is the gods will not help those who do not help themselves. So if you're not going through mundane options first for things, then casting spells are not necessarily going to come to fruition if you're just casting a spell for every little thing that you want, and you're not physically trying to work on it in the physical realm, because the inner and outer world, it's all connected. So if nothing's happening on the outer world, then why would you expect the inner worlds to shift? Because it's a mirror. So once you're doing something on the outer world, if you then do a magical working to get things going on the inner world, then it it's that mirror of energy. That's when things will happen. Okay. So another thing that I've learned from the goddess Hecate is standing up for yourself. So she I guess she is quite a tough and fierce goddess. Like, I would not disrespect her. I would not challenge her in any way, because, like I said, she's got dominion all of over like so many different things: heaven, hell, earth, sea, and sky. She has it all. So I would definitely not be challenging or disrespecting this goddess. But basically, this goddess, she teaches us a lesson in conviction. Basically, she wants us not to take any grief from other people. So basically, she wants us to stand up for ourselves and to do not take no shit from anyone, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And another thing that I've learned from the goddess is befriending the night, listening to the night. So this is a technique that everybody can do just by taking some moments. It's a little like meditating. So you can close your eyes and just listen to what sounds you can hear. Like, can you hear any sounds coming from outside? It would work even better if you have a window open, and especially if you're in a nice rural area. So if you're in an area where there's lots of wildlife, you may hear owls hooting, or you may hear different birds, or any other number of sounds. You may hear leaves rustling on the trees, you may hear branches tapping at windows. All of these are different stuff. So it's a nice technique we can use to kind of build more of a connection to Hecate and the night, which she has a strong connection with. So listening to the night and coming into sync with it. Again, it's getting over our fears of the dark and the night time, because this has kind of been taught to us by society and by our family and friends. There's it's kind of just ingrained in all of us, like, that there's something to fear when it comes to the night and the dark. So when the lights are out, it just makes a lot of us feel unsettled. And basically, the goddess wants to kind of rewire our brains and help us get around this, because the night is like a blanket. It's something that can wrap around us, surround us, that can engulf us, and it doesn't have to be something that's scary or something that's causing us fear. It can be a strength. It can be like, it gives us a chance to like rest our eyes and kind of just to relax everything, and to just blend into the universe. It gives us an opportunity to just become one with everything else, one with the universe, basically. So the another thing that the goddess has taught me is that there's a very important need to balance our light and dark energies, because a lot of people out there that I hear it all the time, like when you meet another witch or someone else who's practicing magic, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a white witch," and I'm like, "Oh, are you?" how fun for you that you're a white witch. That because I don't feel the need to like go out and say, "Oh, I'm a white witch" to everyone. Because yeah, I get where they're coming from. Like if people go around telling everyone that they're a witch, then some people will think, "Oh, they're a Satanist. They're worshiping the devil, or this, that, and the other, or that they're dangerous and they're evil, and this, that, and the other." So yeah, there is that misconception out there, but you're just feeding into it by stating that you're a white witch. Because like one of my favorite quotes says from the craft, that there's no such thing as white magic or black magic. It's the heart of the witch that is truly good or evil, not the magic itself. So that's just some food for thought there. And another thing that, the last thing that I'm going to mention really about the goddess, one thing that I've noticed with the goddess Hekate is that when I do meditate, sometimes the goddess will sometimes appear to me in the meditation, or she'll leave some form of magical gift, so some etheric gift for me in the meditation. I will find a significant item, and this is giving a gift of energy. So it's like a gifting me with light codes, basically. So that can happen either in meditation or dreams. So just be aware of that. If you're gifted with something random and you feel like it's significant, even if you don't know what the significance is, if you suddenly have this gift from somewhere and you don't know where it's from, then it's likely from the goddess Hekate, especially if it's something magical or something interesting or unusual, something useful, then it's most likely an energetic gift. So gifts like this, they're tools that we can use when we're in the meditation realms, when we're in the spiritual realms and dimensions. These tools can come in handy because then we have them in our toolkit and the energy that they contain. So that is what I wanted to say about that. So that is my thoughts on the goddess Hekate. So I hope I've not talked everyone's ear off. So I wish everyone a beautiful and magical Hekate night tomorrow, and do enjoy, do give offerings to the goddess, light a candle, sing a song, do a dance, whatever you feel like. But yeah, just mark it in your own special way, this beautiful modern feast day for Hekate. So brightest blessings to you all, and do check out some of the other videos.